Welcome back. You're watching Business Live at 3. Now, it's an expo with a difference. It's about Kenyans in the diaspora and Kenyans here. Now, Kenyans in the diaspora are trying to organize something that will let Kenyans here in the country know what's going on. And they also want Kenyans in the diaspora to know what's going on in this country. Now, with me in the studio to discuss about investment opportunity policies that will change the shape of the scores of this country is Martin Koyabe. He is the CEO of Kenya Overseas Business Alliance. He'll tell us in a moment what KOBA is all about. That is Kenya Overseas Business Alliance. Welcome to our studios.
Pleasure. It's my pleasure.
How long have you been in the country?
Actually, I've spent the last 4 days really moving around and spending a lot of time meeting people. And we've had actually a launch, which we just had on Monday with Brand Kenya board, and it was a very successful launch. We had our guest of honor, the Permanent Secretary for Finance, Mr. Joseph Kinyua, who came actually, and it was a very successful launch, yes.
4 days. When is the last time you're in the country?
I was in the country towards the end of last year.
Towards the end, so not a lot has changed except that we promulgated a new constitution.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, and the new constitution definitely comes with good tidings. We've seen increased investor confidence, and the current thing you're doing in the country is also just one of the things that will drive us towards that end, investor confidence. Now, you are a Kenyan in the diaspora. There's this expo, the launch that you had today with Brand Kenya. A lot of Kenyans can identify with Brand Kenya. What is it all about? What do you want to do? Why are you here, basically?
Yeah, first of all, KOBA is, of course, Kenya Overseas Business Alliance. Our mission and our vision is to create businesses and investment for Kenyans in Kenya and also abroad by Kenyans. And what we've done is we've taken that to another level whereby we've discovered we can't do this alone. We need partnership, especially with government departments, partnership with private sector, partnership with private sector either in the UK or even in Kenya. And hence the need for us to form this coalition and partnership with people like Brand Kenya board, whom we are really privileged to be associated with in order for us to propel some of the agendas in the diaspora.
Okay. So KOBA, how many members do you have so far for KOBA?
Right now, we are growing quite fast. We already have on our registered database roughly about 500 members. We do have individuals, we do have companies, both small to medium and even large corporates who are very interested in partnering with us. We also have organizations, especially Chamber of Commerce's, based either in Africa and also have missions in the UK who are very keen to join us in terms of collaborative ventures. And we also have partnerships with different entities within the EU, and now we're actually more or less looking at the US as one of our other markets.
So, KOBA, what are some of the activities, either in the UK or here, that you've done so far that a Kenyan can place his hands and say, KOBA, you know, this is this about KOBA?
So just to go back, the objectives that we are looking at in terms of propelling our activities, first of all, we create the platform for enabling individuals, businesses in the UK and also in Kenya to be able to exchange their experiences, views, and also information regarding trade and businesses. So that is the first thing. And coming back to that point, of course, we're having this expo, which is the Kenya Diaspora Investment Expo. It is just one of its kind, which is concentrating on high-impact economic activities. Things like, for example, the ICT in the country, which I'm really privileged to see that they've really done very well. We've got a construction industry, which is actually growing very quickly. We've got agriculture and even legal services based on the devolution of the Constitution now. We've got a lot of issues that Kenyans need to know about. And these are some of the things that we are trying to look at from a sharing of a platform point of view. And then the other issue we are looking at is how do we build capacity and how do we build the skills of the youth, who are always the last people to be considered sometimes. But we believe that the youth, especially the diaspora, have the key, although they don't have the money, but they do have the intellectual resource. So how can this resource be channeled into activities, especially economical activities back here? And that's why we provided this platform. And in addition to that, we also have lobbying and consultancies, which are our key tenants, especially when you look at the dual citizenship, which has come up. We know that that will bring in a lot of confidence for diasporians who have actually lost their citizenship. Now they can gain back their citizenship and come back and help build the country. So we know that we are creating this platform. It will be a vehicle for development, but above all, it's a vehicle that will enable people to invest better and also for businesses in the country here to benefit from this type of collaboration with KOBA.
Indeed, you told me earlier that this organization was founded 2 years ago. Maybe just briefly, what informed this move to establish this organization?
So the idea was based on the experiences that individuals have faced. Now, as a founding person within the organization, there are things that personally I've experienced which I wish other people should not go through. And based on that, it was a motivation with all other people involved within KOBA to make sure that we create this platform that will enable Kenyan businesses, especially in the UK and even abroad, to be able not to repeat the same mistakes, but to learn from each other, to be able to be participatory and to have that critical mass in doing specific objective activities. For example, if it is bidding for contracts, for example, it is very difficult to bid for contracts which are actually always advertised in the country when you're just a single entity. But when you have expert companies coming in the framework and plugging in behind KOBA, you are more likely to succeed because you are creating that critical mass and you're creating that resource behind this kind of contracts. And we believe with many companies doing the same, it will actually achieve much, much more results and better results for everybody.
Okay. So 2 years on, any achievements for KOBA that you can place your hands on?
Yeah, I think the key one is to win the confidence of especially our partners and the people that we affiliate with. So that was very key. And also with the Expo, we really thank people like, for example, the Kenya Investment Authority. We also thank people like, for example, the Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Housing, who have actually built confidence in us to be able to trust us to host this particular Expo. So that to us is very, very important. And now moving forward, we have to build on that goodwill in order to give people more encouragement, in order to link up with us, especially from the diaspora point of view, to be able to build these alliances that we are trying to achieve at this particular point. So the results will be key for us. At the moment, what we can only say is that we are thankful that the goodwill part of it has been achieved. Going forward is what we do post the Expo that will be very critical.
So are you looking at all sectors, across all sectors, or you have specifics that you're looking at right now?
To be honest, we are looking at all sectors, except that we don't want to boil the ocean, as they say.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure that we take one step at a time. We've picked on specific high impact areas. For example, in the construction area, we know that there's a lot of construction going on. Investment in property, we know that's also going on. We know there are issues to do with ICT, which is very key in the country. And agriculture is another one. We are looking also at green energy and how can we reuse the energy that is around us. For example, the dumping sites. How do we cohese or how do we actually get those dump sites to start generating energy for the country? And how do we share that? But above all, we're also looking at how does that impact other areas, especially, for example, like security, for example. So we know that security is a fundamental area, whether it's from the ICT point of view or just general security. So the areas that we're looking at, and some of them are interrelated as well.
Okay. Maybe because we're running out of time, after today's launch, what is the other activities lined up before perhaps you go back to the UK? Yeah,
we do have a number of activities. Of course, meeting our partners here and sharing our views. We've got a very encouraging aspect where we are trying to meet, especially the Vision 2030 team who want to talk to us. And we are also planning to sort of focus ourselves to the next activity. We are planning to have a youth conference, which will be taking part in December. So we are going to do that.
In the country?
Yeah, in the country here. We're also looking at having an ICT forum conference, which will take place in the UK. And above all, also, we are trying to look at how diasporans can come back to the country and showcase what they have to offer, so that we don't have all this every time people going out to showcase what Kenya has to offer, but we want diasporans themselves to come in
back
and tell us exactly what do they have to offer, the people, the people of Kenya.
And maybe finally, going forward, the response, the type of response you've received from the Kenyan government, from the diasporas people in the diaspora that you represent, and the people you've met here, what is the kind of response?
I've just come from a meeting today, which was actually organized by Kenya Investment Authority. And I'll tell you, what I've seen, what I saw in the boardroom was the collectiveness of Kenyans, the will to do things together, which is a very, very attractive thing. So for us, it is actually a win-win situation. We've seen banks coming in. We've seen different entities coming in. In fact, I'll just give an example. There are small institutions which have actually joined in to come to the Expo for the first time. So I think for us, the unity is key, and we've seen that. From the ministry's point of view, we actually, we've seen a lot of encouragement from the ministries, especially the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Finance, we've seen from the Ministry of Housing, and also from the Metropolitan Ministry, and the Ministry of Transport. So we've seen that there's a lot of interest in that, and we are thankful for the government and also the private sector especially for coming on board with us in order to come for this particular expo.
Okay. Well, Martin, KOBA CEO for the Kenya Overseas Business Alliance, thanks for speaking to us.
Many thanks for having me on your program.
He's a Kenyan in the diaspora, and you've heard the plans they have for Kenyans here and Kenyans in the diaspora. Let's now